Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Meredith Beavin, a pharmacist with a fascination for true crime, and I'm here with my wife and co host, Andy. Today, we're diving into the world of medications, the ones that can heal or turn deadly. So sit back, relax, listen, and learn. This is The Medicine Murders. Okay. Welcome back to episode 6 of The Medicine Murders, the podcast where true crime meets the deadly side of medicine and science. I'm Meredith, here with my co-host / wife, Andy.
Hey, y'all.
And today we're peeling back the layers of a story that's as chilling as it is fascinating. A tale of love, betrayal, and murder. Served on a plate of savory onion pie. What is onion pie? Do you have any idea?
I'm assuming similar to like a shepherd's pie, but filled with onion. No,
That's disgusting.
like an onion, minced onion. I mean, is it really French onion soup? People love that.
But I guess not. I'm thinking of a sweet pie.
It's not a sweet pie.
No, it's savory.
No,
Okay.
it's savory. Yeah.
I only think of pie as sweet and tasty, like pecan pie or pumpkin
That's because
pie.
we're American.
True.
But a lot of pies are savory.
That is true. What's your favorite pie?
Pecan. I love a pecan pie.
You see, I say pecan, you say pecan.
Pecan, yeah.
This is going to be our Christmas episode.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a murder that took place on Christmas Eve.
Ooh, okay.
So this is our special Christmas episode. Are you excited for Christmas this year?
I guess. I mean, it's busy. It's a busy season for us.
Christmas is always busy for us. Yeah, that's true. But you did get your first gift today.
I did get my first.
Do you want to tell everyone what your first Christmas gift was?
Meredith got us both gifts to open tonight.
Because I wanted to use them.
2 days early.
It is, what's today? The 23rd?
Yeah.
As we record this.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little late on recording because, like we said, this is a busy season and we haven't figured out planning quite yet for this podcast.
We promise to do better for y'all soon.
Yeah. So what we're going to do for the next couple weeks, because the next couple weeks are also busy, is we're going to record a couple episodes tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, so New Year's Eve, that'll take us through New Year's Eve in the first couple weeks of January, because we have a vacation planned early January.
Yep.
And then we'll be better at getting these on time once a week.
Heck yeah.
Also, this is a special episode. Andy, do you remember why? And you can look at me if you want to remember.
Why? Because you got your haircut?
I got my podcast haircut, which is what I'm calling it, my podcast haircut.
Yeah, it looks great. I love it.
If you guys are true fans, which I'm assuming everyone is because there's only 6 episodes. Episode 3, I let you guys know that me and Andy made a deal that if she did this podcast with us, at least 3 episodes, then I would get my hair cut because I've never had my hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the same haircut for the last, 2 decades.
Yeah.
So now I have my first haircut, and I will be putting it on our Instagram along with this story after this post. So follow us on Instagram, The Medicine Murders Podcast. Okay, Oki has joined us for this podcast.
Oki is our dog.
Which I'll also post a picture on this Instagram. So follow us on Instagram, The Medicine Murders Podcast. We also have a YouTube, which is surprisingly gaining traction, which I have no idea how to use YouTube. So thank you for everyone who follows us on YouTube. So go follow us on YouTube. Okay, you ready for the story, Andy?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Although you didn't let me finish saying what I got for the present.
Oh. Sorry, Oki distracted me. Go for it.
Well, Meredith got us both robes and very nice pretty light blue robes. And also I got a pair of slippers. So I'm going to be extra cozy this Christmas.
And that's all I care about is coziness.
Yep.
You have to be cozy around me at all times.
I'm wearing jeans under the robe right now, so I don't know how cozy I really am.
Yeah, like you're all dolled up except the robe. Like you're in a complete outfit, hair done, makeup done, jewelry, but you're also wearing a robe.
I always am.
Yeah.
I don't like being in slouchy clothes until I'm ready for bed.
And then I force you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I made Andy open the robes today because I wanted to wear them.
Yep.
And if I wore my robe that I bought, Andy would want one, and then I'd have to be like, I got you one too, but you have to wait till Christmas. So I made her open it, and I wrapped mine in a present, and I opened it for myself. So now tonight we're gonna wear robes, because I want to
That
be
was how
cozy.
Meredith's inner mind works. But
You know that's true. If I pulled out a robe tonight and was like, "Look, Andy, I got a new robe," you'd be like, "What? I want a robe. We always talk about getting robes." And then I would feel guilty because I'm an angel on earth. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're right. I lied. I got you a robe. I got you a robe. Here it is. It's your Christmas present. You
Yeah.
can open it though. So I just bypassed all that. I wrapped
Just
both
type
our
it up.
robes. I wrapped both our robes and you opened it tonight. So I think that's a good solution to the problem. You and I
Sure,
both get
yeah.
cozy robes.
No, true.
I also got us chocolate and we're going to watch a Christmas movie.
Yes. And also, if you guys hear any snoring, that is the dog.
Yeah.
So sorry.
She is big and she is gorgeous.
We hope you don't hear it, but maybe you will.
Oki is the mascot of this podcast, and she'll be in a picture with my hair today.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to move on to a murder. It's a murder in the grossest way possible inside of an onion pie.
Mm.
I'm going to Google onion pie after this. I should have done it before, but I figured it would gross. Oh, you're going to Google it? Let me see.
Yeah.
Google it real quick so I can see what an onion pie is.
I mean, honestly, it looks kind of just like a quiche, man.
Oh, it's a quiche.
Yeah.
Okay, with onions.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's not that gross. Just the word onion pies grosses me out. But that's just because I just want a pecan pie, and that's all I want. So let's continue the story.
All right.
I'm going to set the scene for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's Christmas Eve, 1851, in the picturesque English village of Chiddingly. Snow blankets the rooftops, and families gather by the fires to celebrate the season. In one home, Sarah Ann French is preparing dinner for her husband, William, a hardworking man who has no idea that this Christmas will be his last.
Ooh.
Do you like that pause?
Mm-hmm.
Among the dishes Sarah serves is a rich golden onion pie, a meal meant to bring warmth and comfort during the cold holiday season. But this particular pie is different. Beneath its flaky crust lies a deadly secret, a lethal dose of arsenic.
Mm.
This wasn't a spur of the moment decision. Sarah's actions were deliberate and calculated, stemming from a mix of desperation, forbidden love, and the constraints of a society that offered her few options for escape. What followed was an investigation that shocked the village, a trial that captivated the country. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that fire, was that a fire truck or ambulance?
Ambulance, I think.
That ambulance going by. I mean, it's good ambiance. Yeah, it adds to it. I'm not gonna take it out, but I will.
Okay.
So what followed was an investigation that shocked the village, a trial that captivated the country, and a public execution that made history. But Sarah's story is just one piece of the puzzle. By the end of this episode, we'll dive into the role of arsenic in medicine, its infamous reputation as a poison, and the groundbreaking forensic science that help expose killers like Sarah Ann French. So let's begin. So to truly understand the story, we need to step into the shoes of Sarah Ann French, a woman whose life, choices, and circumstances became the catalyst for one of Victorian England's most infamous crimes. Sarah was 30 years old in 1851, living in the rural village of Chiddingly, nestled in the quiet countryside of East Sussex. Chiddingly was the kind of place where life moved slowly and predictably, where everyone knew one another's business and where change came reluctantly, if at all. The village's rolling green fields and close-knit community painted an idyllic picture. But for Sarah, life in this small, stifling world was anything but content. She was married to William French, a local laborer known for his strong work ethic and unassuming demeanor. William worked tirelessly to provide for their modest household. From the outside, the Frenches appeared to be an ordinary couple, humble, hardworking, and unremarkable. To neighbors and acquaintances, they embodied the traditional values of marriage and stability. But beneath this facade, Sarah harbored a deep and growing discontent. Marriage in 19th century England was far from an equal partnership. For women like Sarah, it often meant submission, sacrifice, and servitude. Once married, women were legally bound to their husbands, with little recourse if the relationship soured. Divorce was a privilege reserved for the wealthy and influential, and even then, it came with social ruin and financial devastation. For working class women like Sarah, it was nearly impossible. Sarah's unhappiness was compounded by the constraints of her life. Her days were spent managing the household and fulfilling the societal expectations placed upon her. She had no wealth, no property, and no independence. Every aspect of her life was tied to her husband. Amid this discontent, Sarah found solace and affection in another man, James Hickman. A local tradesman, James offered Sarah the attention and warmth she craved. Their connection wasn't fleeting or superficial, it was passionate, and it ignited a spark of hope in Sarah. He represented everything her life lacked: excitement, love, and the possibility of freedom. Their relationship was not a well kept secret. In a small village like Chiddingly, people noticed their lingering glances, the stolen moments, and the quiet conversations that hinted at something more than a friendship. But while James might have offered Sarah an emotional escape, society offered her no practical way to pursue a future with him. Victorian England was bound by strict moral codes and rigid expectations, particularly for women. Leaving her husband wasn't just socially unacceptable, it was practically unthinkable. If Sarah left William, she would face ostracism, poverty, and ruin. She was trapped in a life she no longer wanted with no clear way out. I mean, the 1800s didn't give women much of a choice.
No. Yeah. It sounds like it sucked.
I will say, like, what are they called? The women who kill their husbands. Black Widow.
Widows.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Those stories are extremely interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a common theme in the 1800s, Black
Yeah.
Widow. You don't see a lot of Black Widows nowadays.
No, you have to imagine how desperate you must feel to do that. But
it's the same thing that happens today when people don't want to get a divorce.
Yeah.
They kill their spouses.
But that I don't understand because today it's so much easier.
It's so much easier.
And it's not seen as such a stigma. Like there's not such a stigma around it where I
people
feel like
would rather kill you than get a divorce. It blows my mind. Yeah.
Let's just leave your partners.
Just
if you don't
get
like
a divorce.
Don't kill anybody. That's insane.
If your option is kill or divorce, just get a divorce.
You're okay. So my thing is you could easily make your way to a different town.
Easily.
And
just change your name.
Far enough away that people don't know you, you know? Just start over. But I get why this is something that they thought of for sure. I mean,
just an intriguing concept.
Black Widow. Whole, like Aqua Tofana thing, you know?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you should look it up. It's so cool. Basically, this one woman ended up selling Aqua Tofana as like some sort of like health elixir.
Oh, is this from Italy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and would sell it to women to kill their husbands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which I was like, that's cool.
That's a good. What episode was that on?
We listened to that. I think the first time I heard it was on Bailey Sarian's.
It was Bailey Sarian, I think.
Her makeup murder mystery Monday thing.
Yeah, that's when I heard it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, there's so many good podcasts.
Yeah.
Bailey Sarian, Barry Bones, Criminal. This is where the story takes its darker turn. Sarah's longing for freedom turned into desperation, and her desperation led her down a dangerous path. With no legal or social means to leave William, Sarah began to consider a more sinister solution. By Christmas 1851, Sarah had made up her mind. The plan she devised was chilling in its simplicity. A poisoned onion pie, served to her unsuspecting husband. It was a calculated act of betrayal, born from the pressures of her time and the constraints of her life. In her mind, this act would be the key to her freedom, a way to escape William and start anew with James. But the reality was far more complicated. What Sarah believed would solve her problems only unraveled her life and brought devastation to a small village. Sarah Ann French was not a monster. She was a product of her time, shaped by societal expectations and her own flawed decisions. Her story is one of love and betrayal, but it also a reflection of the rigid structures that left many women with no good choices. As we explore this case, it's important to consider the world Sarah lived in, a world where women like her had few options and even fewer opportunities to rewrite their destinies. Okay, that being said, you can't kill people.
Just leave people.
Just leave. Just leave. Take your dog and leave.
To disappear and never be seen again.
Just leave.
Murder someone, especially if they didn't actually do anything.
And you know the dogs in 1850s were working dogs.
Yeah, take your working dog.
Take your working dog. They'll hunt for you.
Go out.
I bet it has some name like Scruffy.
Rusty.
Rusty. That's a good working dog name.
Trucker.
Like Sarah's just been like, come on, Rusty, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And Rusty would have been like, yeah.
I bet Buster was a real
Buster
name.
I bet they just were like dog.
Dog.
Hey dog, let's go. I'm gonna name my next dog.
Heck no. You better not. You can name it Buster.
No, I want to name our next dog Honestly, to be truthful, we're gonna adopt an old dog from a shelter that has a name.
Always do that. Yeah.
And even like Oki, the sweet girl, she came with not the best name. I mean, but it fits her well.
I mean, it fits her because she's real dopey.
Remember when we tried to change it and we were like,
she's just not
she's
smart
just an
enough.
Oki.
She's not smart enough either to understand a
Yeah,
different
God bless
name.
her. Mm-hmm.
We have a really cute dog, but she's just not that bright.
I mean, she's real sweet.
Yeah.
But it's
the
because
sweetest.
she's not very smart.
Yeah.
And we love that about her.
She can't get into trouble.
Yeah.
So
I mean, literally, we know that if we leave,
she's
she's
just
sleeping the whole
there.
time. Yeah, we know. And then there's our cat, who's
Evil incarnate.
yeah, just the worst. But they work perfectly together.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's turn to the night of the crime, when Sarah's plan unfolded in that fateful kitchen. Christmas Eve, 1851, began like any other winter day in Chiddingly. Snow blanketed the small village, muffling its usual sounds and adding a stillness to the air. Fires crackled in hearths, and homes glowed with candlelight as families gathered to celebrate the season. At the French household, preparations were underway for a festive dinner. In the kitchen, Sarah Ann French moved with quiet determination. The ingredients for a meal were laid out on the table: fresh onions, flour, butter, and a handful of seasoning. At first glance, it seemed like any other meal she had prepared for her husband. But this time, there was something else, something far more sinister. Among the items on the counter was a small paper packet containing arsenic. Purchased months earlier by William for pest control, the poison was intended to rid their home of mice, but now it was destined for a far deadlier purpose. Sarah began preparing the onion pie, her hands steady as she sliced the onions and mixed the dough. Did she hesitate as she reached for the arsenic? Did her mind race with doubts, or had she already convinced herself that this was the only way out of the marriage? Whatever emotions she may have felt, they didn't stop her from moving forward. She added the poison to the pie with careful precision, ensuring it would be hidden beneath the rich layers of onion and pastry. The aroma of baking filled the small home as the pie browned in the oven. William, likely unaware of the storm brewing in his wife's mind, may have been sitting nearby, enjoying the warmth of the fire and anticipating the meal. He had no reason to suspect anything out of the ordinary. When the pie was ready, Sarah served it with her usual calm demeanor. She placed a generous portion in front of William and watched as he ate, perhaps even exchanging small talk about the holiday or the weather. The first few bites would have tasted as they always did: savory, comforting, a testament to her skill in the kitchen. But within hours, the poison began to take effect. Arsenic doesn't work instantly. It starts with vague symptoms that could easily be mistaken for a bad meal. William may have felt a sudden wave of nausea or a slight cramp in his stomach. As the night wore on, these symptoms worsened. Vomiting, diarrhea, and searing abdominal pain took hold, leaving him weak and bedridden. At first, William might have attributed his illness to spoiled food or a winter bug. But as the hours turned into days, the severity of his condition became undeniable. He likely called out to Sarah, asking for help, trusting her to care for him as he suffered. And here is where Sarah's crime becomes even more chilling. While William endured the agonizing effects of the poison, Sarah did nothing to ease his pain. Instead, she carried on with an eerie detachment, knowing full well what was happening. For nearly 2 weeks, William's body battled the poison. The symptoms of arsenic poisoning are brutal: relentless vomiting, dehydration, organ failure, and an overwhelming weakness that slowly takes over. On January 7th, 1852, after enduring unimaginable suffering, William French succumbed to the poison. His death left a void in the small community of Chiddingly, but has also raised questions. William had been a healthy, strong man. How could he have fallen so gravely ill so quickly? His passing wasn't just a personal tragedy, it sent ripples of suspicion through the village. As neighbors whispered and rumors began to spread, Sarah's calm demeanor became harder to maintain. While she may have believed her plan had succeeded, the truth was that her actions had set in motion a chain of events that would soon unravel her life entirely. Now the focus shifts to what happened next: the investigation that exposed her crime and the trial that sealed her fate. In the small, tightly knit village of Chiddingly, secrets were difficult to keep, and William French's sudden death didn't go unnoticed. Neighbors began whispering almost immediately. William had been a healthy man, not the kind to be struck down so quickly. Suspicion grew even sharper when villagers observed Sarah's unusual behavior in the days following his passing. There were no tears, no visible signs of grief. Instead, Sarah seemed strangely calm, relieved even. Whispers spread that she was still meeting with James Hickman, her lover, even as her husband lay in his grave. Their discreet encounters now felt glaringly inappropriate, and the townsfolk couldn't ignore the coincidence: a sick husband, a quick death, and an uncomfortably close friendship with another man. The growing unease reached the ears of the local coroner, who decided that William's death warranted further investigation. An inquest was launched, and soon the web of whispers and suspicions began to unravel into cold, hard evidence. Witnesses came forward to testify about Sarah's demeanor and her openly affectionate relationship with James Hickman. Neighbors reported seeing the two together during William's illness and even after his death. The coroner turned to science for answers. Forensic toxicology was still in its infancy, but advancements like the Marsh Test were revolutionizing criminal investigations.
What's the Marsh Test?
The Marsh Test was developed in the 1830s.
Mm-hmm.
It could detect minute traces of arsenic in biological samples, offering definitive proof of poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
So, a sample of William's remains was sent for analysis. When the results came back, the truth was undeniable. Arsenic was found in William's body, enough to have caused his agonizing death. The poison, once purchased for pest control, had become the weapon that ended his life. I will talk more about the Marsh Test later.
Mm.
With the coroner's findings in hand, authorities arrested Sarah Ann French. The scandal rocked the small village. A wife accused of poisoning her husband all for the sake of another man was the kind of story that both horrified and fascinated the public. I always think about this. You ever listen to Barry Bones and when Kate talks about how true crime has always been a thing?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about it, yeah. I think it's definitely... We've always been fascinated with it. I just feel like now it's so much more widespread. You can get information so much easier than you used to be able to.
It's just we're all hanging out around, like, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, all going to the dead person's house and looking and seeing
Right.
what's going on.
Right.
But I always think about that, how true crime obsession's always been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating.
I also think it's one of the very few, like, hardcore unknowns in this world is, like, what happens after death, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we're just inherently fascinated.
It happens, I think what I'm fascinated with is, like, what happens right before. Like, because no one ever knows what actually happened. Like, we can piece it together.
Right.
But unless you were there looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
like, this decision someone has to make to kill someone, it can go from a conversation to you're dead.
Yeah.
So I always think about that, like, when I'm hearing these stories, even when I listen to my own, because I don't know if you know this, I can easily listen to this podcast because I don't think it's my voice, because I don't know what my voice sounds like.
You know what? I can barely listen to it because I am like, ew, I sound awful and I don't want to listen.
I think I have a great podcast voice. Also, I'm full of myself. 2, I don't know it's me. Like, so my brain can completely dissociate, and this is, like, just another podcast I'm listening to, which is crazy.
Wow,
like,
your mind.
It's wild, I know. So, like, even when I'm listening to this, I also have a very, like, picture brain. So, like, as I'm walking through this, I can easily picture myself, like, sitting in this kitchen, watching her make a pie.
Right.
And, like, it's very easy for me to be put into each situation.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's, like, for everyone, but...
Some people. They say that some people don't see
anything
in their heads.
Yeah. Well, that's a huge thing that people are talking about right now. People who can picture things in their head, and then people who can't.
Right.
Like, because people who can picture things in their head always thought that was it.
Yeah.
They thought everyone did, and then people who can't picture things just thought that was it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're finding out the other exists.
Like, when I say apple, you can imagine an apple. Like an apple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not just, like, I see it in my head.
Oh, yeah, like, my brain is overactive. I can see a stranger that I've never met before eating an apple at a bench over in a place I've never been.
Right.
And that's why, like, I don't really like these stories, but I find them super interesting because I can easily picture what might be going on based on, like, so if you're a good storyteller, which I'm not going to say I'm a good storyteller, but I'm getting better.
Yeah.
But that's what, like, for instance, like Phoebe Judge, like, you can easily listen to her and picture and have a picture of what's actually going on. I
feel like her voice, it's very narrator-esque.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like you can follow along with her because the way she lays it out is very, like,
her, yeah.
This is exactly how it happened, and etc.
What's it called? Yeah, her cadence is very good. But yeah, so I think, I mean,
well, and I don't know, maybe this is not the same thing because when people say they see it in their head, like I don't necessarily always see the object. Sometimes I see the word, if that makes sense.
When
When
I
I
think there's
think of
different
something,
degrees.
yeah, when I think of something, I see mostly like writing. Like in my head,
Okay.
I can like as I speak,
Like when you say apple, you can see the word
yeah,
apple.
apple, yeah,
You're
and
not
I,
actually looking at it. Well, I think that's just like your brain, like you like to read. So
yeah,
things come to your brain
like that.
like you are reading it. Now I'm the complete opposite.
You're
Yeah.
visual, like
Yeah.
actual.
And I even take it like a step farther. Like I'll make an entire world around that apple because I can't control my brain. So,
Yeah. That's ADHD.
yeah. So like, so even this, like I can easily go into Sarah and William's house and put myself at the table and watch what's going on as I'm saying this story.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's well, it's excessive.
People do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, but a lot of people also I don't think have the ability to do it. But I
Yeah.
think that's what I find most fascinating, especially if you're good. That's why I'm obsessed with
You
podcasts.
like to like imagine yourself being there. Like what would you do? What would happen?
Not so much like how I would react, but like that's how I see a story. I see it as if I'm standing in the room, which is why I don't like reading. It's because my brain goes too like I like reading. Like that's why I like audiobooks. So I have to do two things at once. I don't have to make the story in my head and read.
Right. Okay.
Because that's two different activities.
Yeah.
I'm reading, but also my brain is going crazy, making the actual setting. That's why I like podcasts. Yeah. That's why I can go through all of my favorite murders 450 episodes in 3 months. It's not that hard. And same with criminal. They have, I don't know how many she has, 200 something. But anyway, true crime has always been a huge thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I want everyone to understand that. The only difference between now and the 1800s is we're watching it from afar instead of standing next to a dead body.
Right.
And watching it as looky-loos.
Yeah.
Which is I just said that. Looky-loo. I've never said that before in my life until right this second. Okay, moving on. So we're going to move from the investigation to now the trial.
Okay.
The trial of Sarah was a spectacle. The courtroom was packed, with standing room only for those eager to witness the drama unfold. Reporters from the neighboring towns filled the gallery, eager to capture every detail for their readers. Excuse me. The prosecution built a damning case. They outlined the timeline of William's illness and death, the discovery of arsenic in his body, and Sarah's access to the poison. But it wasn't just the scientific evidence that gripped the jury, it was the human part of the story. Witnesses described how Sarah and James had been seen together, even as William lay dying. Their quiet conversations and lingering glances took on a darker meaning when paired with the evidence of arsenic poisoning. The prosecution argued that Sarah had been motivated by love and desperation, willing to kill her husband to secure a future with her lover. When it was Sarah's turn to speak, she maintained her innocence. Her voice was steady, her expression calm, but her stoic demeanor worked against her. To the jury, she appeared cold and unrepentant, a woman unbothered by the gravity of the accusations against her. The jury deliberated for only a few hours before delivering their verdict. Guilty of willful murder. The sentence was swift and unrelenting. Sarah French would hang for her crime. On April 10th, 1852, Sarah faced her punishment. Public executions were designed to be a deterrent, a grim spectacle meant to dissuade others from following a similar path. A crowd gathered to watch as Sarah, pale but composed, climbed the gallows. Her death marked the last time a woman was publicly executed in the town. But it did little to quell the lingering questions surrounding the case. Many wondered about James Hickman's role. Did he manipulate Sarah, coaxing her into committing the crime, or was Sarah the sole architect of her husband's death, driven by her own desperation of freedom? Whatever the truth, Sarah French's story became a grim cautionary tale, a reflection of love turned deadly in a society that left women with few options. The small village of Chiddingly would never forget the poison that hid beneath the crust of a simple onion pie. And so Sarah's life ended at the gallows. But the questions her story raised continued to haunt the community and remain with us today. Like one of the sentences I said was left women with few options. Murder isn't actually the option.
Right.
Your option is leave.
Right.
It's the truth. Just leave.
Right.
Who cares what people thought? Just leave.
No.
All right. So we all agreed Sarah should have left and not killed her husband.
Mm-hmm.
But arsenic was a pretty popular poison in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if there was more access to it, most likely.
Mm.
We're finished our story, so we're going to do our talk nerdy part.
Mm-hmm.
Your favorite part,
Yeah.
my favorite part, Oki's favorite part, who's snoring next to us.
Mm-hmm. She's so cozy.
So we talked about the tale of Sarah, and so now we're going to talk about arsenic.
Okay.
And we're going to start with kind of just the history of arsenic, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So arsenic has a long reputation as a poison, and it's well deserved. It's been used centuries as a poison, but it wasn't always viewed with fear. In fact, for much of history, arsenic was considered a marvel of medicinal science. Ancient physicians used it to treat everything from skin conditions to fevers, often with little understanding of the risks. By the 19th century, arsenic had become a mainstay in pharmacology. I always think about stuff like that, like they used arsenic for a very long time and now it's used as a poison. I always wonder, like in 100 or 200 years, what people are going to be like.
No,
The 2000s, yeah, they used. I always think double. I always think about that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's gonna happen again and again.
Yeah.
I mean that's part of scientific discovery.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
There's gonna be some things
Long-term effects. We only know so much.
Yeah,
So.
and especially because I mean people only live so long. I'm also sure that like especially back then when people didn't live that long, more of those like long-term effects probably wouldn't have been noticed, or you know everybody had crappy teeth and hair falling out and whatever. Like I'm sure it just wasn't something
You just didn't feel good at all.
Yeah, I'm sure it was also
your everyday was just
right that wasn't noticed. Yeah.
But yeah, I always think like, oh, in 100 years they're gonna be like those idiots. They used blah blah blah, and now we know it's dangerous.
Yeah,
and they're living to 400 years old. One of the most famous arsenic-based treatments was Fowler's solution, a tonic introduced in the late 18th century. It was prescribed for a laundry list of ailments: psoriasis, asthma, syphilis. Imagine walking to your local pharmacy and being handed a bottle of arsenic-laced liquid to cure what ails you. But arsenic wasn't just a medicine. It was also a tool for beauty. Women of the Victoria era used arsenic-based cosmetics to achieve pale, luminous complexion, a sign of status and refinement at the time. The irony, these beauty products were slowly poisoning their users, causing hair loss, skin damage, and in severe cases, death. So let's shift our focus to the pharmacists of the 19th century, the unsung heroes and sometimes unwitting enablers of arsenic's dual life. Arsenic was available over the counter, often sold for pest control. But there was little regulation, meaning anyone with a few coins could walk into a pharmacy and purchase enough poison to kill a person. As a Victorian pharmacist, you'd have to balance remedy and risk every day. And here's the most chilling part. Pharmacists didn't always question their customers. The cultural norm of the time placed trust in the buyer's intentions, leaving the door wide open for arsenic to be misused in crimes like the one Sarah committed.
At least now, I feel like there's so much proof that the person who bought it is the person who bought it. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's video feed, obviously, of who's coming and going. There's, you know, a track record of like who picked up X medicine today.
Yeah.
So I think at least
you can't buy gum without someone figuring out you bought gum.
Now I feel like it's so much harder to get away with that versus I feel like then it was probably pretty easy. What they might have had a book that you would write your name in, but sometimes they didn't. I mean, in Buried Bones, in one of the episodes, they talked about someone had bought arsenic and they had to write down
interesting
like their name in a book essentially, but they put a fake name. You could put any name, you know. It doesn't really. It's not real. So I get how now it would be much easier. Yeah.
I should do that now. Make everyone sign a book. For my story.
Yeah, that'll make the pharmacy.
I'm just kidding. Nice and quick. Anywho, ways to slow down a pharmacist. So you asked about the Marsh Test, so we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So in 1836, the invention of the Marsh Test by chemist James Marsh. If I invent anything, it will be the Beavin test, obviously. That all changed in 1836 with the invention of the Marsh Test by chemist James Marsh. This revolutionary technique allowed forensic experts to detect even trace amounts of arsenic in biological samples. The test involved converting arsenic into a gas and then capturing it as a metallic deposit on a surface, which could be presented as damning evidence in court. The Marsh Test was a game changer. It turned suspicious deaths into prosecutable murders, as in the case of William French. Without it, Sarah might have gotten away with her crime. It marked the beginning of forensic toxicology as we know it today. bridging the gap between science and justice. So you might think that arsenic is a relic of the past, but it's still very much a part of modern medicine. It's no longer a household staple, but it's found a surprising role in the treatment of rare cancers, such as acute promyelocytic leukemia. Arsenic trioxide, marketed under the name Trizinox, is used in chemotherapy to target and destroy cancerous cells. It's a striking example of how a substance once feared for its deadly potential can be harnessed for good in the right hands. But the caution remains. Arsenic is still a public health concern in certain parts of the world, particularly areas with contaminated groundwater. Its dual nature, a killer and a savior, reminds us of the delicate balance we must maintain when handling powerful substances. The story of arsenic is more than a tale of poisoning and prosecutions. It's a lesson in the fine line between harm and healing, a line that pharmacists and healthcare providers navigate every day. It underscores the importance of regulation, the evolution of forensic science, and the enduring need for vigilance in how we use and control substances with such immense power. Well, that's it, Andy.
Wow.
That's our story.
That was really cool.
You have to do one thing.
Yes.
Your pop quiz.
Oh, okay.
Pop quiz.
Ooh.
Pop. I made a little song.
You made a song for it.
Mhm.
Okay, go
Ready?
for it. Yeah.
Pop quiz. Pop quiz.
Ooh,
Was that good?
that was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
I mean, I should probably stick to my day job.
Can I make a theme song?
Yeah, go for it.
Pop quiz. Pop quiz.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to say it's a little derivative of mine. I'm going to say, I think you just took mine.
We should let them vote.
Okay. I'm going to say mine was better, but yeah, we'll see. Comment and whatever,
Let
Instagram
us
or
know
YouTube.
if you like the first one.
Or the second one. The
one.
first one was obviously better, but the second one was a little derivative. So pop quiz. I don't think, I mean, if you were paying attention, it might be easy. If you weren't paying attention, which you were looking at our dog a lot because she's cute.
She's just snoring. I was
Okay,
trying
she's
to
snoring.
keep her quiet.
She's snoring so loud. Yeah.
I know.
So there was an arsenic-based treatment that's super famous. What was it called?
No, it was a tonic that had a little bit of arsenic in it.
Yeah.
I do not remember the name.
I did mispronounce it twice, and we had to re-record it
Oh,
because I can't talk. So most of this episode is me mispronouncing things and
Yeah.
starting over.
yeah. Oh, I don't remember the name of
Oh,
it.
that's okay. You want me to cut this out and tell you the answer? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that.
No, but what was it?
Okay. It was Fowler's solution.
Fowler's solution.
Mhm.
Okay. I knew it was something solution because I was like, I know it's a tonic. I know it's got like a little bit of arsenic in it.
What about
Something else.
an
but-
easier question that we just went over?
Okay.
Okay. So we use a medicine now
hmm
in chemotherapy.
Yeah.
What's its name?
Trizinox.
Trizinox. Wow, you did it.
Yeah.
But that's it. Thank you for joining us. And
We hope you guys have a really good, safe holiday.
whatever
regardless-
holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah.
Yeah,
whatever.
regardless of if you're celebrating anything or not. Stay safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Make good choices.
This was our first Christmas episode. Are you excited for Christmas? Tomorrow's Christmas Eve.
yeah.
We're
Christmas
posting this
Eve.
right now on the 23rd.
Mhm.
Remember, go to Instagram, see my new haircut, and a picture of Oki, and my new robe I got today. I decided I'm going to include that in the picture.
Probably not.
No,
but
I
anyway.
will. You excited for Christmas?
I am.
How many presents did you get me?
You said not to get too many, so I think I got like 2 or 3.
Oh, wow, I got you a lot of
I
presents.
know, and that's
Uh-oh.
you always lie to me.
I know I do.
You always say we're not
can't
doing
control
a lot of
myself.
presents, and then you get a lot of presents.
I'm sorry. If it makes you feel better, you're like the only person I get presents for.
I know. I only get you a couple presents. I mean, I'll be honest. The person I get the most presents for is probably my sister. I get her a ton of presents.
Well, that hurts my feelings.
But
Um,
okay, you have to realize she's also broken young and doesn't have a job.
No, I
so
get it.
obviously,
and
I
as your
get her
sister
saying.
put it, I have everything. So
yeah, you do. Well, you're just the kind of person that if you want something, you're gonna
I'm just
buy
gonna
it
get it.
immediately.
Yeah.
You're
Even
not
if
gonna
it means
wait.
I'm going to be in debt, I don't
You're
care.
not gonna wait. I'm like, okay.
It's not a
so-
good way to live, honestly.
And I will
But it's
say
fun.
the one present that I really was striving to try and get for her,
You got scammed
I
on.
got scammed on it. So be careful where you're buying from this holiday season.
Yeah,
people.
Andy, I am obsessed with Taylor Swift. Okay, obsessed
told
is a
me-
big word. I love Taylor Swift.
She told me
Like everyone.
about a little advent calendar thing. So she sent me a picture of it, and the link that she sent it from looked a little skeevy and I wasn't sure it was going to get there on time. So I reverse Google imaged it, found another website that sold it that looked legit. All my info, blah, 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 everything. Got a confirmation email. Okay. Got a number for try. Okay. Next thing you know, I've been waiting and
Website
waiting.
gone.
And I was like, weird. It hasn't come and I ordered it so early. I ordered it beginning of November. Like you would think it would have gotten here by now.
Yeah.
And mind you, I paid almost $50 for that thing plus shipping and all that stuff. So by the time I look it up again and I go to the email that says like to the confirmation link, I click on it and it says this website's been removed for like malware, known malware and blah blah blah.
Oh my gosh, that's
and I'm
crazy.
like, of course.
I'm sorry.
So there's $50
sorry.
gone.
Yeah, so next time you want to get me a present, just remember I have everything I want. I don't need anything.
Yeah. But you got a couple of nice presents.
Thank you.
So I think it'll be okay.
Okay, thank you.
And we're going on a vacation in January. So how about we'll just spoil each other then and we'll have a nice vacation.
We're going on a cruise.
Very
and I'm excited because there's magicians
on the cruise ship. Yeah, that's what she specifically chose this cruise ship for.
Little secret listeners, I love magicians. Love them. I love magicians. I want to watch them. I want to be the person on stage who gets the magic done to them. Has it ever happened? No. Am I trying to make it happen every day of my life? Yes.
Manifestation.
And it's going to happen on the cruise. As embarrassed as Andy will be, I'm getting on stage with this magician and it's happening.
Such a lie. She hates being in public.
I know, but I love magicians. I don't care. I do. I hate being on stage. But I'll just get like a few White Russians in me.
A couple drinks
with our drink package. And I will get on stage with the magician.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I will not eat onion pie though. I'm sorry, you can't make me. But yeah, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Hana Kwanzaa.
Shout out to my friend Steph. She's recovering right now.
We love you, Steph.
So Steph, if you're listening,
this is
and your parents.
Girlfriend.
I hope you have a good holiday. And then next week we're gonna have our New Year's episode.
Yes, exciting.
But happy holidays. And this has been episode 6 of the Medicine Murders. And just remember. You don't need a prescription for murder. Why'd you say it with me?
I didn't want to. You were holding your breath and waiting, so I assumed you wanted me to say
no.
Thank you. You do it then.
Oh. No, I like it. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
We're done. I'm not going to say it again.